Hey, Tim and Sarah Cox here, coming to you from Covington, Louisiana. We're excited to bring you another Feature Friday interview with one of our friends, top earner Seth Campbell. Now listen, guys, we're here without the baby. She's in that other room. She probably will join us in this broadcast very, very soon. So if you're watching this thing live, let us know live. If you're watching the replay, type replay. And, we try to do these interviews every Friday where we bring you a special guest. I don't see your live yet on your page, Seth says.
See
if you can shoot him. Yeah, see if you can shoot him an invite.
I see it.
Yeah, go on there, go on the comment, the share button on the live and invite Seth Campbell. Okay. Yeah, guys, we're trying to get Seth on board. You know, guys, sometimes the most challenging part about going live and doing these things is the technology piece. And there's Seth. Let me invite.
Okay.
Let me see. Seth, why don't you press the camera invite button?
There's the baby.
There's the baby already. You bring Seth. All right, let's see. We got Seth here. All right, what's up, Seth?
So
how you doing, man?
Good. Just hit the share button and then click some invites. All right, so we're just helping to build the broadcast here. Not working?
Awesome. Aaron has me post it.
Okay, well, don't worry about it. We'll get this thing going. All right, so what's up, Seth? We're happy that you joined us here. Seth is somebody that we've known for a few years now, probably dating back to 2011, 2012. We're actually in the same company. And we invited Seth on because Seth is one of the top earners in our company and in the entire industry. Joined this industry at a very young age of 24 years old, which is kind of cool because Sarah joined when she was 25. So you guys are right around the same age joining. Wet behind the ears, fresh out of college. I know Sarah was fresh out of college, and you were in chiropractic school, right? Whenever you joined into network marketing. I'll let you get into your story, but Seth is coming to you from St. George, Utah, and he has 4 kids. He's a family man.
All of our viewers, let us know where you're coming in from.
Yeah, drop a line. Let us know where you're coming in from, and show Seth some love for sure. And Sarah, you said you wanted to say a couple words about Seth in the introduction piece about your experience with Seth, because Sarah joined a year before I did.
Yeah, Seth, you were one of my very first big training events that we had locally in our area. You taught that event, and you were in your 20s. You were right around my age. You already had a family, and I just remember watching you, and still to this day, you're still one of my favorite trainers. Can you grab the baby? She's kind of distracting me. She's crying on cue. I knew it would be just whenever we got started. But you showed me that this was attainable in our age range, because I really felt like I was kind of young coming into this, and who is going to take me seriously when it comes to this type of business at such a young age, and that you can do it with a family. And you proved that time and financial freedom in your 20s was a real thing. And so I just really looked up to you and wanted to follow in your footsteps. Yeah, Seth taught me how to do this business so we could be home together. You like that? So I'm really excited for everyone to hear from you, because you just have such a delivery of information. And I know it's because you read a lot of the personal development books and leadership books, and it truly shows through whenever you speak. So I'm excited to hear what you have to share with us today.
Yeah, and before we give Seth some time, do us a favor, guys, hit that share button. Invite some of your friends in the network marketing profession, especially your team members. You don't want them to miss this. Seth's going to be dropping some nuggets. One thing that always impressed me about Seth is Seth was one of those guys that he could spit off these quotes and stuff from books, kind of like the leaders that you see speaking on stage. The Jim Rohns of the world are able to just bring up the Les Browns, able to just say these quotes. And maybe you could share with me the tips on how you remember so much and are able to bring that up in your speeches and stuff.
How do you read so much? How do you do it? I'm trying to read. I've got a list of 84 books that just keeps growing, and they're not getting knocked off.
So we'll give you a little bit of time. Why don't you just give us your background of where you came from before network marketing and how that transition happened for you, when you were 24 years old. So give us a little background story.
Right. By the way, on a side note, I think I remember, Sarah, you mentioned that training, that first regional training. That was in Louisiana, I believe, right? Uh-huh. I remember that one. That one stands out to me because there was another top income earner there named Fred Graves, who many of your viewers know, I'm certain. And Fred was there, and I remember that morning, man, I was not feeling good. I think I had fast food the night before. I just had really bad indigestion. I'm like, oh man, I grabbed Fred that morning. I'm like, dude, I'm not feeling good. Can you be a backup? Because if I can't, if I'm not feeling good, you might have to step in and do this. And he's like, for real?
Oh no, he's frozen. Louisiana food will do that to you. Just a warning, if any of you come and visit us here in Louisiana and you're not used to the Cajun cooking.
There you go. There you go. You're back. You're back.
Can you see me?
Yeah.
Sorry about that, man. My Wi-Fi must have skipped out on me. I had to put my phone on airplane mode and stick the Wi-Fi on so I don't get interrupted with any phone calls because I'm on my phone right now. But you know how Wi-Fi can be. But anyway, I remember Fred. I'm like, hey man, can you be a backup because I'm not feeling so good. He's like, I'll be right back, and he shows back up 10 minutes later with a bottle of Pepto. He's like, drink this. You're doing the training.
And I'm so glad you did do the training.
It was fun though. It ended up being a really good time. You know, that's a fun group. That's one of the most fun I've had with the group. You know, in all of my experience in network marketing. Something about people from Louisiana. People from Louisiana.
You hear that, everybody? Come visit us in Louisiana.
Come down to Louisiana.
That's right. So as far as my background goes, you know, I was a college student. I was 24 years old. You covered that piece of it. You know, I was going to school to be a chiropractor. And, you know, I guess the thing for me was it was just one of those things where if I'm being truthful, the reason I was doing it, I never thought about this. You know, there's three reasons people do anything, or three elements to anything you do. There's what you do. Everybody knows what they do. Everybody knows that. There's how you do it. And like half of the population knows how they do what they do. Because I'm sure you've dealt with people where you're like, you walk away thinking that guy does not know how to do his job. You know what I mean? So there's how you do it. And then there's why you do it. And 3% of the population have any idea why they're actually doing what they're doing. And so if I'm being honest, you know, looking back, I was going to school to be a chiropractor because my dad was a chiropractor. He made decent money, had a good lifestyle, and it seemed like a good fit. I'm going to do it so I can support a family. That's the reason I was doing it. It wasn't, you know, I love learning about the human body. That was all fun and everything, but it wasn't my passion. It wasn't my calling. It was just, I had to go to school to get this degree so that I could make this living, have this skill set, make this living, support a family. And I think that's probably, if we're honest, that's the reason most people are doing what they're doing. They're not doing it because it's their passion, their calling in life, anything like that. So I was the same boat. And I started to notice that, you know, two things stood out to me. Most people, not just in that profession, but in any profession, they're living paycheck to paycheck. And most people are, you know, their time doesn't really belong to them. Their most valuable 8 hours of the day, their best 8 hours of the day, when they're most awake, most alert, they're, you know, 50 out of 52 weeks belong to somebody else. Even if they own their own business, it still belongs to the business. You know, they can't just decide to go run off and, you know, go to Mexico for 3 weeks on a vacation because it costs too much money, because they're leaving the business behind. If they're employed, there's no such thing as 3 weeks of vacation. Your boss tells you when you get your 14 entire days per year of vacation. And I realized that, and I thought, you know what? I'm going to end up doing something that isn't really my passion anyway, and I'm going to probably find myself in my 60s realizing I lived my entire life limited, paycheck to paycheck. I never owned my own time. Vacations were a rare commodity that I got every now and then when someone told me I could have one. And I'm going to get into my 60s and go, I did all that. I paid that price. I gave away all of my time to never get ahead anyways, all for something that I wasn't really passionate about anyway, because that's what most people end up doing. And it bothered me. And so that's the mindset that I was in when I was introduced to this industry. I was wide open. And I was wide open for that reason, because I realized there's got to be a better way. There's no way that everybody in this world lives their life like that. There's got to be somebody out there who's figured something better out. And then I was introduced to, you know, my first mentors in the industry, and I'm like, that's what I want. I want what those guys have. So that was my background. What caused me to be open-minded at that time.
So you're originally from Denver. When did you go to Utah? I know you were from Denver originally. At what age did you move to Utah?
About 4.5 years ago. I just got sick of the snow, man. I grew up in Denver. I miss Denver. I just don't miss the snow. I grew up in Denver. I lived in Kansas City for 3 years, which is snowy and cold in the wintertime. And so, you know, with network marketing put me in a position where it didn't matter where I lived because my income was residual. So all of a sudden it was pretty open. I could kind of move wherever I wanted to. And I said, hey man, I want to go somewhere where it's warm. I want to wake up and see palm trees, and palm trees make me happy. So you were thinking about California, maybe Texas, Arizona. And somebody's like, St. George, you should look at St. George, Utah. And I'm like, Utah? Are you crazy? I said, I want to see palm trees. You know, Utah's the same thing as Colorado. It's cold and snowy. And they're like, no. There's this little place called St. George. Totally different. It's warm. It's right by Vegas. So that's what brought us here. We've been here about 4.5 years.
Okay, so the reason why I asked you that question is I think the people that grew up in Salt Lake City and Utah, they're very used to network marketing, right? It's part of the culture of that state, I feel like. And all the network marketing companies have their offices right there in Utah. And so you didn't grow up in Utah. So what was your perception of network marketing before you joined versus after joining and kind of seeing what it is? Because there's a big stigma about network marketing, and I stayed away from it for years because I just didn't know what it was. It was just pure ignorance on my part, just was uneducated. So tell us about that transition. Were you reluctant to join network marketing, and when did the light bulb flip on for you to say, this is really something real, it's really something that I can support my family with?
Well, for me, the stigma wasn't so much with network marketing because I didn't know what it was. I didn't really know much about it. As a matter of fact, the first time I heard the term network marketing, I thought it was some kind of computer science tech stuff. Network marketing sounds like something that, some guy does in front of a computer, which I guess it can be now, with social media and stuff. But I didn't have any idea really what it was. Home-based business. It was just, these are just terms I had heard. I didn't know much about, what the business model of the Herbalifes and New Skins of the world really was. The thing that really got me, that if there was any skepticism or resistance, I had been conditioned up to that point in my life to kind of live by the mantra, if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is, right? Because that's what everyone tells you. Nobody ever tells you the other side. Nobody ever tells you, hey, at some point in your life, you're going to be given an amazing opportunity that if you do it, it can change your life forever. No one says that because they want to protect you. They want to protect you from failure. So what they do is they condition you to just not ever really seek too much success. Because if you don't take the three-pointer, you won't miss the three-pointer. It's way better to just kind of lose the game and coast to an easy loss than it is to take a shot and be embarrassed if you miss. So when I first heard about this opportunity, that was the thing in my mind, was just, if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is, because it kind of sounded too good to be true. I'm like, wait a second. You're telling me that, because I'm going to have to go work anyway for the next 5 years, right? That's a fact. At 24, I got it. The next 3, 4, 5 years of my life, I'm going to be doing something anyway. You're telling me I can put my effort into something where if I do it right and I work really hard, I can actually set up a stream of income that keeps coming. Like I can get a wheel spinning and then I can jump off the wheel and the wheel keeps spinning. You're telling me without me? Like I can go out and build a team of thousands of people, and if there's activity in that team, then I can take vacations and still get paid. Like that concept is, that sounds too good to be true. So that was the only thing, was, if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. And that's where my skepticism came from, was this idea of residual income, this idea of passive cash flow. That doesn't happen to people like me, right? I'm not Warren Buffett. That's ridiculous. Ordinary people like me don't get residual income. That must be, that was the thing I had to overcome. And what helped me overcome that really was, I kind of came to this point where I was like, well, you got two options here. Anytime you're faced with any kind of an opportunity like this, you have two options. You can either do it and probably fail. That's the way I thought anyway, right? Probably fail. My friends are saying I'm going to fail, and statistically speaking, maybe I can go online and read some blogs like, oh, only 3% of the population ever succeeds in their whatever. So you can give it a shot and maybe fail. And then what does life look like 5 years from now? No different, right? I look back and, oh yeah, I tried this thing a few years back. It didn't work out, but I tried, whatever. It doesn't ruin me, right? Or I could not do it, play it safe. I can guarantee that I will not fail if I'm not doing it. But then I watch somebody else do it, and they go out and they make a ton of money and change their life forever. That will affect me for the rest of my life. I'll be in my 60s and my 70s thinking back to when I was 24 and decided not to do that thing, and you never get over that. So for me, it came down to the regret of the pain and regret of not taking the shot and knowing that you could have won. Way, way outweighed the idea of maybe I fail. I'd rather fail. I'd rather fall on my face 1,000 times and at least get to the end knowing I tried than sit on the sideline and watch everybody else succeed, knowing that I played it safe and I didn't fail, realizing that maybe my entire life was one big failure because I never actually took a shot. So that was what it came down to for me, really.
Yeah. It comes down to it. If the fear of failure is what's holding you back, you've already failed, right? And I love what you said about the leverage aspect. Is most people don't even know what leverage and residual income is at all, right? Because if you're raised in that employee mindset, you're trading time for money. So most people don't even see that side. And typically that side is reserved for people that have a lot of money or are extremely talented, right? And I didn't consider myself extremely talented, and I certainly didn't have a lot of money when I got into this industry. And so it's allowed the average people like you and me the ability to create some pretty cool leverage and create a lifestyle, which, I mean, you have 4 kids. We just have a young baby. You guys saw her a little while ago. Being there for our families while our kids are at such a young age, I can't even describe what that's like for us. Every single day I wake up, I got to see her first steps. I got to get it on film. It's just an amazing experience to be able to have that time freedom and financial freedom. And so if anybody's out there that's watching this and you've been reluctant to get into network marketing, maybe you're skeptical, maybe you just feel like it's one of those things. Here's some examples here for you of people that said, let me take a look at this thing. Let me figure out what doesn't work. Let me figure out what does work and just do more of that, right? Do more of what does work, do less of what doesn't work. And there's some real success stories. So just get out there and talk to some people that have had success. Don't talk to the ones that are out there telling everybody it doesn't work, right? I think it's a good philosophy in life in general. So run us through, I mean, you've been in this industry for how many years? 7, 8 years?
Close to 9.
Close to 9, all right. So that's almost nearly a decade, and a lot has changed in the industry over the last 9 years. So maybe give us your perspective on how things have changed, because when we all first joined this industry, we did everything offline. You know, we always tell people that we are implementing new school strategies now, but a lot of what we did in the very beginning was just completely offline. So maybe give us your perspective on how this thing has evolved and how it's changing and what you think this industry will be here in the near future.
Well, one of the biggest areas where the industry has evolved, obviously, is with what we're doing right now with social media. When I first got started, the way that you built a business, here, I'll show you the Business Builders Kit real quick for network marketing. It was this right here. It was a sheet of paper and a pen, and I know you remember those days. You know, as a matter of fact, we used to call them the napkin presentations. You remember that?
Yeah.
Because you would sit down, and most people that have been involved in the industry for any extended amount of time, they know this. But you're going to have a lot of millennials that are new to the industry in their early 20s that will laugh at this. But the way you built the business was you picked up the phone, you called somebody. I remember I even used to tell people, don't ever text, you call. You know what I mean? Because I'm 33. I'm on the back end of that millennial thing. Like, I'm an older millennial. So for me, when I call somebody and then they text me and say, hey, what's up? That drives me crazy. I'm like, pick up the phone. That's what, like, what are you texting for? But you call somebody, you set up an appointment, you get in your car, you drive to wherever they're at, even if it's 40 minutes away, you sit down with that one person, and then you do a napkin presentation where you draw out the comp plan on a napkin and you just present to them, right? Maybe your third-party validation is you call your upline and then hand the phone over and put it on speaker and let them validate what you're saying, and that's the way you do it. It's changed now. There's tools out there that can you have the ability to do a napkin presentation, so to speak, for 25 people from your home, because you got Facebook Live, you've got tools like Zoom, which is an incredible tool, and GoToWebinar and all these things where it's more digital now, and people are kind of going that way anyways. Time is at a premium. People's time is precious, and it might be a little bit more difficult to ask somebody to take an hour and a half out of their day to go meet you at a Starbucks. That's a little more difficult than maybe saying, all right, if someone's intrigued, you got somebody, I'm going to send you a link. You click the link, we can get face-to-face from our phones, and I'll show you a little PowerPoint or whatever. And so just technology has changed it a lot, and it's moving faster. Because at the end of the day, it's all about rate of exposure equals rate of success. Whatever you can do to expose people as quickly as possible, as many people as possible, and technology enables you to do that very, very quickly. The only thing that hasn't changed is you still have to develop a relationship. That will never change. That's the one unchangeable thing about network marketing, is that there are people out there that their technique is to throw mud on a wall, just massive download of information to as many people as possible, enroll as many people as fast as I can. And we've all seen individuals that get in this industry, they shoot through the ranks because they enroll a lot of people really fast, and then they're out looking for another opportunity in 3 years because it didn't sustain itself. It cannot sustain itself if you don't build relationships. At some point, you do still need to get face-to-face with some people. You need to know their kids' names. You need to get to know your leaders. Social media will never replace that, but it will help you meet people that you never would have otherwise met. So that's the biggest change I've seen in the industry. Awesome.
Yeah, I agree 100%. So what has been your biggest challenge in network marketing? There's a lot of them, right? It's like when you first get, I don't know about you, but when I first joined, I was like, okay, this skill set that you need to be successful in network marketing, I don't have any of them. That's kind of what I felt like, So there's been a lot of personal development and personal growth on my end. Joey, thanks for sharing, by the way. So give us your biggest, you could probably, like us, you could probably go through a laundry list of challenges. What was your biggest challenge?
Biggest challenge by far was the natural human tendency to want to control outcomes and to want to, I'll even say maybe control other people in a sense. And what I mean by that is it manifests itself in so many different ways in the enrollment process. when you have somebody that says they're going to be at a meeting and they don't show up to the meeting, you want to shake them, right? You want to call them and text them, hey, where you at? You said you'd be here. Okay, well, now you owe me. Now you got to come to the next meeting. And then they'll show you again. And that emotional response to somebody not doing what they say they're going to do. And all of a sudden I go down this rabbit hole of like, man, you got to do what you say. Some people don't do what they say they're going to do. And I started to get all emotionally wrapped up in the fact that this one person, doesn't do what they say they're going to do. Most people don't do what they say they're going to do. Why is it that you think most people are not successful in life, in their businesses? Why is it that you think most people don't have the life that they want, the relationships that they want, the lifestyle they want? Because most people don't have the ability to do what they said they're going to do. And so that was, that's the first place it really manifested itself, was in the enrollment process, wanting to control the outcome. When I did enroll people, one of the mistakes I made early on is we'd have a big meeting we're planning, right? We were going to have a top income earner or a corporate executive come to town. I would call everybody in Kansas City in my organization, and 2/3 of them are not even active at this time, right? They're not even doing anything. I would pick up the phone and call every one of them. Hey, so we got a meeting Thursday. Are you going to show, and just make sure everyone got a personal invite, because I wanted everyone to be there, because that's what they're supposed to do, right? They're a distributor. They're supposed to show up. And so I'd call them, and a lot of them still would not show up. And so just trying to control people. And so the hardest thing for me was getting to that point where I can just let it go and just understand that there's nothing I can do to control anybody. There's nothing I can do to really motivate anybody. I can't motivate people. I can't get people to do. The worst word in your vocabulary in this industry is the word get, right? When someone calls me, I can't get anyone to a meeting. I can't get anyone to enroll. I can't get anyone to watch a video. The problem is you're trying to get people to do stuff. I had to let go of the outcome and let go of the desire to control the outcome and just say, here's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to put the opportunity out there in front of as many people as possible. And the ones who can motivate themselves and don't need me to tell them what to do and can just show up on their own, on their own accord, those are the ones I'll work with. And if they no-show, they no-show, and I just don't care. And if they're not interested, they're not interested, and I just don't care. So that was the hardest thing for me in network marketing, was it feels counterintuitive, but just kind of separating yourself from the outcome and letting go. Just let whatever happens, happens. If I do my part, it'll eventually work out. That's been the hardest part for me.
Yeah. And our job is not to motivate people. It's to find motivated people and then help them have success. So it is hard. It's hard to let go of that, because they signed up and they said they wanted it. So it's like, oh, let's do this. Here's what's available. Let's go. And when they don't show up, it's like, wait, I thought you were just excited and you were going to the top. So.
Wait, you really don't care about your family after all, like you said you were doing this for,
Okay, so what has been your proudest moment in your network marketing career?
Proudest moment in my network marketing career? That's a great question. I've had one of the coolest experiences is because, first of all, like with what you guys just say, you mean you don't really want to go to the top, like you said? I've never met anybody in this industry that was not going to be the top ranking distributor in their company, right? Every one of them. This piece right here, the mouth, the part that, doesn't always tell the truth, I'm going to go straight to the top. And then the feet, the part you actually have to watch, they don't do anything. That's most people. But what is cool is when you do see that person that comes in and they're nervous, and you watch them do a home meeting and they are terrified even just to introduce you. And then 2-3 years later, because their actions match their words, all of a sudden they are at a top rank and they get invited to speak at a company event or a convention. And you're going to watch them get up on stage and you're like, there's been a couple times I've had someone in my organization speak and I don't recognize them. I'm like, who is this person? I've known you for 7 years. I've never seen that before. Every time I've ever seen you talk, you're nervous. You're up there, you look like Tony Robbins on that stage right now. That's been a cool experience. I guess one that immediately comes to mind is, there was a lady that I had the opportunity to work with in Kansas City named Jackie Shepard. And I remember the thing that was distinct about her was she would call me. I'd just go sit down at her house and she'd be like, okay, explain this comp plan to me again. Like after 10 or 15 times, she's like, I don't understand the points. I'm like, Jackie, we don't call them points. It's just dollars. It's just volume. Well, she just didn't get that part. And it was just funny. She'd make fun of herself. Like, I just don't understand this whole thing. I'll just talk to people. I'll just trust that it works out. She spoke at an event in front of thousands of people. And she got up on the stage and she seemed like she had been in the industry for 30 years. Like the way she spoke and presented herself and told these stories, and just, man, people were blown away by this woman. And that was a cool moment. That was a proud moment, because what it showed me is you know, she just did her part. She didn't understand everything and get how it all works, understand the intricacies of the comp plan or the product. She just did her part, and now look at her. She's a professional. That moment she got up on that stage and had 8,000 people taking notes, she's now a professional. She's now elite in this industry. And I remember when she didn't even understand how the first bonus worked, and that was a cool moment. So
I love that. It's so fun to see people go through that journey of just not getting it to getting it, and getting it to the point where they can teach and inspire thousands of other people to help them understand it as well. So what would be your number one piece of advice for people that are new to network marketing?
Number one piece of advice for people that are new. Man, that's a great question. I would think the first and foremost is you got to manage expectations a little bit. One of the problems in this industry is that people get involved a lot on hype. The whole all you have to do. Eric Worre always talks about. They get involved thinking, okay, I'm going to sign up in this thing because the product sells itself. I hear that all the time. It drives me crazy. No, listen, no product sells itself. If any product sold itself, then there would be no need for people, right? But they'll say, oh, the product sells itself. I'm going to sign up in this thing, and I'm going to send out a couple of Facebook mass messages or a couple of Facebook posts. I'll call my 3 friends. I got 3 people I know that would tear this thing up. By the way, the people you know would tear this up are never going to sign up. It's like universal law. It's always the people you don't think would do it that end up being your leaders. Is that right? Has that been your experience?
Yeah.
So they have these crazy expectations that it's going to be super easy and minimal effort, and I'm just going to get rich. Like it's going to be automatic. And then it doesn't work that way. And a couple of people tell them no. And their best friend tells them that they're stupid for even doing it. And all of a sudden, you get some opposition. And most people can't take opposition. So the thing I would tell them is, number one, you got to manage expectations. You need to know it's going to be extremely simple. It's going to be the most simple thing you've ever done, but it's also going to be really hard. It might be the hardest thing you've ever done. Number 2 is, I'm going to steal this from a friend of mine named Colt. If your skin is as thick as wet toilet paper, this is not the business for you. You've got to be able to just not really care about people's opinions. So the last piece I tell them is, remember and live by this. Opinions are the cheapest commodities on earth. Nothing carries less value in this world than an opinion. But most people are so easily swayed by the opinions of others. They got no chance for success in this industry or, frankly, any entrepreneurial venture until you can get over that attachment to what people think. And so you just got to get over what people think and just know that it's going to be a little tough, and it's going to be worth it because there's no income is better than residual income. Leverage income is a higher quality type of income. I don't care if people, show me someone making 50 grand a month, working 60 hours a week. I'll bet you 9 out of 10 of those guys would take a pay cut and go down to 20 grand a month to be home with their family. Residual income is a different quality of income. It will be worth it, but you got to be willing to pay the price, and there's going to be a price you got to pay. So that would be, kind of a long answer to that question.
That was an awesome answer to the question. And when you're dropping figures like 20 and 50 grand a month, the fact that that's even a possibility for the average person to come and be a part of is just like mind blowing. That's incredible to help people create that type of income, and then residually at that, because it's the time. It's the fact that we have time with our family to do what we want when we want, and it's not going to be easy. Your skin cannot be as thin as wet toilet paper.
Well, I'm glad you said that about managing expectations, because that's one of the big problems in our industry. I think a lot of the stigma that people have about network marketers, it's because of us, right? It's because the new people are going around, they're not trained properly, they're making all these promises, they tell their friends they're going to retire in 2 years, and they only even last 2 days. And so their friends hear that and they see the results and they're like, well, it's just one of those things. And I think those of you who are watching right now and you have new people that are coming into your business and you're training them, make sure you are managing expectations. Make sure you goal set with them and set the proper expectations about what it's going to take to get there. If you're telling people that you could join a business like this and get rich overnight and retire in a year or two, that's setting the wrong expectation, is at least disappointment. And when people are disappointed, guys, they're not going to come back to it, right? And their friends aren't going to want to do it. So make sure you're setting the right expectations out there for your people. If you set the right expectations, they will expect challenges. They will expect that it's going to be tough. They're going to expect no's. They're going to expect rejection. And they're going to already, when it happens, they're going to figure out, how can I take this situation here, make the best of it, and continue to move forward.
Mm-hmm. That's good. Okay, so back to the books thing. How do you read so many books? Because I know you read a lot, because I hear you referencing them. How do you do it, and how do you remember the content?
Well, I guess maybe the secret to reading a lot of books is just read every time you go to the bathroom. Just take a book with you. Just take extra long trips to the bathroom. I'm kidding. You know what? I feel like I've got a baby. That's not an option. I need you know what? That's just something I enjoy. I like to. It's just you gotta find.
Way to be honest, Seth.
So it's something, it's something I've always enjoyed. I like to read about, people who have done it, people who have had success, because if you can, the formula for success is not really difficult, man. It's always been simple. It's just find someone who's done it, find out what they did. If it's been done, that means it's doable. It's possible. And if it's possible, then that should mean I can do it, especially in business. It might not be true in sports. I might not be able to go duplicate, Michael Jordan's results because I'm not, I'm not tall. I don't know how to shoot a basketball. But in business, anything anybody can do, you can do. It doesn't matter nothing, your race, gender, background, where you come from. None of that matters in business. You can apply this, at least in this business model right here, in network marketing. I don't have to produce a resume that says I went to this particular college or anything. I don't need some specific background. This one's all about heart. The network marketing industry is all about desire and will, and nobody cares where you come from. Nobody cares how rocky the past may have been for you. If you want to do it, you can do it. You just got to find someone who's done it, find out what they did, and then copy what they did. Odds are pretty good. You'll get very similar results in time. And so I've always loved reading about people who have made things happen, who have gone out and done specific things. And it's just, for me, I don't know, as far as how do you remember the stuff, I would like to pretend, sit here and say, well, I just have a really good memory. But then there's other stuff that I forget really quickly and easily. Like when I said I would take the trash out and then I forget, that happes frequently. And
I had that problem too.
You got the problem too? Maybe that's a network marketing thing.
Or he just won't even notice that it's full. Or stinky.
I'm like, why did my wife take this trash out? She knew it was full.
I love it. Yeah, it's you and I both. And so, you know what? I think you've got to, one thing that sticks out to me is I'm listening a while back, a couple years ago, to an audio by Jim Rohn. And Jim Rohn he'll give advice, and then he'll kind of answer himself in the skeptic's voice. And then he'll have these little dialogues on himself. One of the things I remember he said, you've got to read the books. And he starts listing a few books, like, you got to read the books. And then he goes, well, Jim, I'm not a good reader. And then his response, he goes, well, you're going to need to overcome that. You simply cannot afford to go through life with that handicap. You're going to have to figure out a way to overcome that. I love that. I absolutely love that. That stuck out to me because it was like, you got to go out there and get the information and put the information in here. And people will make excuses. I just don't have the time to read. I don't like to read. I have a low reading comprehension. I'm a slow reader, et cetera, et cetera. You got to get the information. You got to figure that out. Maybe it's audiobooks for you. Maybe every time you're in your car, you just turn the radio off and listen to an audiobook. Or maybe you go buy the Cliff Notes version. There's actually a cool app, and I wish I remembered the name because I can't remember, but there's actually a cool app now you can download that they have literally tens of thousands of books, and it's a membership. You pay like $10 a month, and you can read the Cliff Notes version of every single business.
I downloaded that app, and I forgot about it.
It's cool. Yeah, it's a neat deal. It's a neat thing. So, but you got to figure it out because, like Jim said, you can't afford to make it in business with that kind of handicap. And handicap meaning, if you're not reading, if you're not absorbing information, if you're not learning and growing and moving in a certain direction, I promise you somebody else is, and they're going to beat you. It doesn't matter if you're more talented than them. If they're hungrier, if they're absorbing information more, then at some point you're going to be working for them. So it's just something you've got to do. You've got to figure out how to get the information, but there's way too much good information out there from too many good authors and teachers, for us to be stagnant.
Yeah, we're figuring it out.
Yeah,
because I want to read the books. Like, I have really good books on there that have been mentioned again and again that I want to read, and so we're going to figure it out. I think audiobooks is probably the solution for me. So what would be like your top three?
Top three. Number one would be Outwitting the Devil by Napoleon Hill. That one's phenomenal.
I don't know if I have that one written down. Let me write that down.
All right. Outwitting the Devil by Napoleon Hill. If you haven't read that, I highly recommend it. I'm assuming most people on here have probably read Think and Grow Rich, or at least heard of it. Think and Grow Rich is kind of like the Bible of success, in the business world. And I know someone's probably going to put a comment that's going to say, no, the Bible is the Bible of success. I'll say, yes, you're right, but outside of Scripture, right? Napoleon Hill. Think and Grow Rich, that's the one everybody swears by. He has another book not as many people have read called Outwitting the Devil. It was the last book he read. That one's phenomenal. Absolutely love that book. The book that really changed the way I started to think about life in general was Rich Dad Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. So I really, really like that one. I like Rich Dad Poor Dad a lot. And then number 3, you said the top 3, right?
Yeah.
Number 3, I guess for number 3, I'd probably go with As a Man Thinketh. And the author of that is James Allen. James Allen, As a Man Thinketh. Really, really, really good book. A little bit older, but excellent book. But those for me would be the big 3.
Yeah, I'm going to have to give Think and Grow Rich another chance. I tried reading that one whenever I was pregnant and didn't know it, and it was like knocking me out for like 3 hours at a time.
That was before we knew she was pregnant.
I blamed it on the book. I was like, I can't do this.
I'm like, man, my wife just got lazy all of a sudden. She was just like sleeping 3-4 hours at a time.
It was this most boring book. That's what
that might have had, it was probably half the book and half the fact that you were carrying a human being.
Yeah.
You're busy. Even when you're sleeping, you're busy. You're growing another person, right?
Absolutely. Well, we don't want to take any more of your time. We appreciate you hopping on, and we just want to publicly acknowledge you for the success that you've had and for the impact that you've made on our company, on us, and our industry. And, it's been a pleasure working with you over the last few years, and we look forward to many, many more years of making a huge impact in the industry of network marketing to really, my goal is to really show people it's possible. Show people it's possible. Show people that it may not be what you think it is. Change some opinions about network marketing and help a bunch of people in the process.
Yeah, I appreciate you guys having me on. I love what you're doing. I mean, you guys are, leading people now through social media. You guys obviously have, you're leaders in the company as well as the industry, but then doing what you do on Facebook and expanding your reach. I love what you guys are doing. So keep it up. And I think you're right. I think the industry is changing. When you find out that 20 million people are involved in the network marketing industry and 70% of those are millennials, that says a lot. 10, 15 years from now, 10, 15 years ago, it's like, oh, you're in one of those things. 10 or 15 years from now, it's going to be, you're not doing a network marketing. What are you doing with your free time? Why are you not creating some kind of, you're worried about retirement, but you won't do something about it. So I love that we're positioned where we are right now to watch the industry grow and evolve over the next decade. But I love what you guys are doing, and keep up the good work, because you're going to play a huge role in that evolution of the industry. So thanks for having me on.
Thank you so much. It's been really fun following your lead first and now leading with you. So if people want to find you on Facebook and some of the content that you put out there, where can they find you?
Seth's videos, by the way.
Good stuff.
Wake yourself up for one of those videos.
I don't do a ton of lives because I've done a few, and every time I do a live, I end up getting mid-sentence cut off because my internet sucks here at my house. But I've got a Facebook page. It's just, you search my name, Seth Campbell. I've got a page that I put videos on pretty frequently. My personal profile, I don't do anything on. I don't know, like once or twice a year, I'll throw out a status update, when I get real mad at the Broncos or something, like, Broncos suck, But my page is where I'm a little bit more attentive and stuff like that. So that's a great place to get in. I reply to messages quite a bit there and put stuff out there, every day. So just search my name, and I've got a Facebook page out there. You should be able to find.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Enjoy your holidays. Tell your family we said hello, and we'll talk to you again soon.
Bye-bye.
You too, guys. Take care. Bye-bye.
Hey, guys. Thank you for watching, guys. If you got value from this, if you want to share it with your team, share it out, tag your team members. And don't forget, guys, hit the C notifications for our Facebook page, because we're going to be doing a ton more stuff like this. And if you want to be notified anytime we put out content, anytime we go live, we got some big heavy hitters coming up. We've already had a bunch of heavy hitters on these interviews, but we have some pretty big heavy hitters coming up in the coming months. So you're going to be sure to check this out. Fred Graves just hopped on. He was one of the heavy hitters we had on a few weeks ago. So enjoy your weekend, guys. Enjoy your time with your family, and we will talk to you later. Thanks for watching.
Bye-bye.